joining us from Stockholm.
And thank you for having me.
Raevyn, is it about 2 a.m. there now?
Yeah, it's exactly 2:08.
We are lucky to have you. We hope you stay awake for this. We hope we're so thrilling that you are not tired at all, but thank you for making the time. Raevyn and I are I'm gonna ask some questions to Raevyn for about the next 20 minutes, and then we'll turn it over. We'll take questions that people put into the chat. You are welcome in the meantime. If things come up that you want to ask, you're welcome to put things in the chat over the next 20 minutes, but just know that we won't start pulling those questions for about another 20 minutes. So Raevyn, let me ask you first. You did a lot while you were at the University of Oregon. You double majored, you were a star student athlete, and you've gone on to this successful track and field career. When you look back, what are a few of your proudest moments as a Duck?
My proudest moments, I would say, are getting through finals week. No. I would say my proudest moments as a Duck would be, of course, the Triple Crown moment. I feel like that was one to go down in history. I mean, to be a part of the first team to, on the women's side to ever accomplish that accomplishment. That is probably one of the most proudest moments I've kind of experienced as a Duck on the track.
I think that's the proudest moment for a lot of Ducks, including most of us who didn't do the actual running. So thank you for for sharing that pride with us. Tell us a little bit about your journey after graduation. What's it been like for the last year?
So it's definitely, like you said, it's been all over the place. Definitely one that I never would have imagined. But I'm very open to just everything. So I went pro my senior year before my senior year. And so my last year at Oregon, I was graduating as well as going through my first year being professional. And then once I graduated, I moved to Philadelphia. And I was out there with my coach at the time for about 2 years. And then I just moved back to Portland, and I joined this new program with Pete Julian in June. So it's definitely been inconsistent as far as moving wise, but definitely for the better.
We were talking a little bit before. You're in Stockholm now. You're about to head to another part of Sweden. You were in Monaco. You were in Hungary recently. How much of your year has been spent on the road?
Oh gosh, I would say how much on the plane. I mean, just going from Philadelphia. I mean, this year was the first year, or the first time really I've kind of packed everything by myself. So just the moving process was a little tough, but from getting on the plane from Philly to Portland, and then from, eventually Portland to London, and then London to Monaco, and now just being on the road necessarily. I mean, from Monaco to Budapest and now Sweden. It's been fun. It's definitely a break from the norm, at least what we all are experiencing in America. But it's been going well.
Good. It's a funny time to be traveling so much, I bet.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we hope you're staying healthy. Let's talk about Philadelphia a little bit. You're a Houston native. You came out to Eugene, and then Philadelphia is the first city really where you've lived as an adult. What was it like moving to a new city? We've got a screen full of people who are many of whom are new to their, or about to be new to their city. How did you adjust moving to Philadelphia? What was helpful, or what did you find helpful?
So I'm definitely a type of person. I'm very private and very I guess close with the people that I've been connected to and friends with. So moving there, I of course, kind of stayed at home a lot. I bonded with my teammates a lot, but what really helped was being able to still have the connections I had from Oregon. I mean, I had 2 friends from Oregon that lived in New York. And so, Philly is just an hour and a half away train ride to New York. And so still being able to have those relationships all the way on the East Coast definitely played a big part in getting me outside of the track and being able to just people that knew me from college and carried on to this adulting life, it made the process a little bit easier.
Raevyn, for the sake of the everyone else on this call, can you verify that I did not ask you in advance to say that it's important to stay connected to your fellow Ducks?
No, you did not. I swear, Rafe did not tell me to say that. That
just kind of came up organically. There was no prompting, so thank you for that. While we're talking about it, in what ways have you been able to stay connected to the UO after graduating? And do you have any advice for other Duck alums who want to stay connected?
Well, definitely, doing these virtual things, the virtual meetings, this is something that I didn't, I guess this is all new for everyone since we're having to do everything virtual. But this is something I definitely am going to use going back to Portland. It makes things that much easier. But as far as being connected with U of O, I just been able to, I guess, kind of go back every now and then, especially now that I'm in Portland, going to visit and then helping, taking opportunities like this to be able to still interact and keep that relationship with other fellow Ducks open, because once a Duck, always a Duck,
That's
and
right.
So there's a different type of pride, especially in Oregon when you're against, the Beavs. But yeah, keeping these type of opportunities open is how I've tried to come about it.
I got to tell you, Raevyn, if this track and field thing doesn't work out, you can always get a job at the Alumni Association. You're hitting all the points. I love it. So thank you. So tell me, speaking of campus, I drive by this tower. You're on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I know anybody else who's on a tower. What do you think of it? What's the experience like of looking up at that tower? Does it, when you look at it, does it look like you?
It does. I'm actually glad. My first reaction when they sent it, I was really excited that they chose a great picture because there's so many awful, prideful, excited pictures that come off not as glamorous. And so I'm glad they chose the picture they chose.
It's pretty cool. I would hope that you could walk into any place in Eugene now and get, tell them, excuse me, I'm on the tower, and I think you would get really, special service from that. I would hope. Let's talk about giving back a little bit. So one of the values of the university and the Alumni Association, of course, is being able to give back to your local community. You're relatively new in Portland. Are there any ways you hope to be able to give back to this new community?
For sure. Whether it's doing events like these or perhaps, because this definitely is a challenge to my personality. Because it kind of gets me to be a little bit more open. Mm-hmm. And I'm a little bit more reserved. But if there's any opportunities, to help in the community, definitely finding out from other Portland natives or anybody that's kind of going through the same thing as me, I'm definitely open to doing whatever I can. I have all the time. I practice for 2 hours. Then the rest of the day, I have nothing else to do. So I'm open for whatever.
Well, we have 73. I see we have 73 people on this call. I think you may be about to get 71 invitations of how to spend your time. So we'll see. We'll see. Raevyn, tell us a little more about. You say you talk about yourself as being introverted. How do you unwind when you're away from the track, when you're not training, when you're not running? How do you spend your time?
So when I moved in June, of course, it was definitely kind of unpacking and then, trying to get a little bit more adjusted. But what I missed the most when I moved to the East Coast, what I missed the most about Oregon was being able to kind of venture out and go explore. So ever since I've been back in Portland, I've been I went to like South Falls and this, what is it, the Silver Falls, where it's like all of the 7 waterfalls and 10 waterfalls. So I've been out there a lot, and my mom came and I took them out there. So just kind of being outdoors, I feel like Oregon is the only place that really can offer that type of, you know, relaxation of being able to just enjoy nature for what it is. And so I've been seeing a couple waterfalls, but I'm in this weird space because I was an art major, of course, and especially with painting. And so, you know, everywhere I've moved, I've brought my painting. So I have these 6-foot paintings, you know, 6 foot by 4 feet, because they make you work big. And I've been bringing them everywhere I've moved to. But I'm in this weird kind of space of trying to get adjusted in the art world. And I've kind of been on hold in that part of my life. So I really want to get back to that, because that played a big part in my success with track, you know, because it took so much away from, it was a different type of challenge. I mean, the art community is a different world compared to athletics. And so I'm looking forward to getting back to that part.
I think we should get you to paint a mural in Eugene, if not in Portland.
Oh, yeah.
We have some more to do.
Right.
I want to get. I have one more question for you, but I want to give our participants a heads up that we're going to turn toward questions in the chat in just a moment. So if you got something that's on your mind, please feel free to start putting that in the chat. But my question for you, Raevyn, is what will the next 12 months hold for you? As you're preparing for the Tokyo Olympics. What does that look like?
I honestly feel as though it's going to be a little rough, maybe a little smoother than now. This kind of rest of this summer has been dedicated to adjusting with this new coaching style, with new training, with new place that I'm living in. And so I'm hoping that when I come back from my break, we'll be, you know, hitting the ball rolling, getting adjusted, because we'll have a little bit better understanding between me and my coach. So it'll be a lot of hard work, a lot of growing, but a lot of fun during this whole process. I'm looking forward to, hopefully, you know, 2021. And then, of course, coming back to Eugene for Worlds. That's what I look forward to the most.
Was it a big hit to see all those things postponed by a year, everything backed up a year?
It's kind of strange because, you know, when people ask me what was my first reaction to everything being postponed, I almost sort of expected it, only because between indoor season in January and then trials in like June, I just felt as though there wasn't enough time. And so I almost expected the Olympics to get canceled. Yeah, so I'm just looking forward for everything. I mean, even being in Europe and the way they've gone about having track meets, I feel like they'll still try to make something out of next year's season.
Well, I think I can speak for everyone on the call. We're looking forward to the Olympics too. We're hoping everything goes well for 2021. Let me ask this: we got a question. Since you are a world traveler now, and many of us, I'm guessing. Well, I'll speak only for myself. I travel mostly from this computer down to my refrigerator and back. Many times, many times, I'm getting my steps in. But you're traveling all over the place. What are your tips for traveling and moving around during COVID?
Definitely always wearing a mask. And I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm really like keen about during this time. I'm so sorry. During this time, I mean, I have like my alcohol wipes, I have my Lysol, you know, I got Clorox wipes. So I am on it. I'm on it. But yeah, I wipe down everything because I'm not trying to get COVID or spread it. So it's been tough, but it's taught me a lot of responsibility because, I mean, so far I've had about 10 COVID tests already, so I'm not afraid. You know, I don't like the nose test doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any better, but it's definitely something I've kind of taken pride in, just knowing and being secure that I am, you know, not harming other people.
We had a couple questions sent to us in advance. Let me ask you this one. Here's kind of a tough one. There's a lot of talk right now about universities, requests for universities to pay collegiate athletes. Do you have any opinions on that? How does that strike you?
That's a really good question. It's funny because you mainly hear that type of conversation associated with like football or with basketball. But I mean, I feel like if they were to, only way I could think of that kind of being into effect if it's dealing with like marketing. In that way, maybe that would be something that would maybe create a source of income. But the thing with track and field is that I think it would be very, very beneficial because when you're in college and if you race in Olympics or trials, you get prize money. But if you're, not pro, you can't touch that prize money. And so if you go pro in enough time, then your agent can sometimes go back and claim that money. But, if you don't, like I got 5th in Olympic trials when I was a sophomore and I got none of that. So, that I feel like in that time, in that kind of situation, I feel like that would be a situation where that would be very, it would make sense, I feel like. But
great. You have my vote. Raevyn, so, one of the questions came in is about, now we understand, did you get a sneak peek of Hayward Field? Most of us have looked at it, if at all, through a metal fence. Have you had a chance to tour Hayward?
I have, and it's amazing. And I'm not just saying that because like there's, I'm an Oregon Duck, but no, it really is. One of the questions the guy asked me during my tour, he was saying, what do you see for the stadium? And I honestly, wholeheartedly said, I can see an Olympics there. I just feel like it depends on how well they do, which I know they'll do well with Worlds, but the stadium is Olympic worthy. It's beautiful inside.
What's your favorite new feature of Hayward that wasn't in the old track?
So my favorite new feature is what I like the most, and I talked to Coach Johnson about is, there's so many, but the inside of, so really everything is inside the stadium. The old stadium, you had to go outside to get to the other side, but this one, it's all inside, and then they have like a track so that they can use. So, for the track team, we had to use the other team's facilities. We had to use football's indoor facility and a lot of their facilities, but for everything is literally at the stadium for the team. And so I think to have that inner part, or at least most of the stadium surface level where, the concession stand is and everything made of track is really exciting for the team.
Good. Well, I can't wait to get in there myself, and I'm just going to be in the stands. Tell me this. We have a running question that has come up. Okay. So what types of recovery tips do you have from tough workouts and races? We want your pro tips for the amateur runners among us.
Right. So after, it's always recommended to take like maybe chocolate milk or something with protein, like within 15 minutes. Like I've been told, if you take it within 15 minutes, it's that much more effective as far as recovery. So from a, drink standpoint, that's really important. So sometimes I'll have like after US champs or something through the rounds, I'll try to have like a recovery drink or a chocolate milk in between within 15 minutes. But other than that, I really do. I'm a firm believer in kind of making sure like my energy is really on the good page. And so I try to be mindful and aware of kind of how my mind and my body is feeling. And so I'm a big advocate for just taking care of yourself mentally. And if you really, being gentle with yourself, because during track and running, it's a lot on the body. And so it's just best to kind of work with your body and make sure you can get the most out of as much as you can out of your career, as long as you want to run, and just being healthy and stuff.
That is great advice. I want to know, so I don't run the 800 meters. I maybe could walk 800 meters. And I just want to know, when I start to explain to my wife that you advised me to drink more chocolate milk, are you going to back me up on this?
I got you.
Thank you. Thank you. Putting it on the grocery list. That's awesome. Let me ask you, another question that's come in is about training. So the Olympics are a year away. Does that change the way you train at all? Do you train differently for the Olympics than you have in the past? Is it anything new?
Well, I mean, big yeah, because I'm almost feeling like I'm having to do it like a hard reset. Like even this small period of time this month that I've been in Europe, I've gone through so much emotional kind of just ups and downs. And it's not from the stress of competing during COVID. It's more so, I refer to it as, so the moving is the hurricane, and
Okay.
what I'm experiencing is all the damage after the hurricane. So I'm dealing with, I'm more so experiencing all of the after effects of getting used to a new coach and having to kind of reset and have, Pete learn me as an athlete and
Mm-hmm.
being put in certain situations that make me uncomfortable. It's a hard reset, but it's for the better. And so our approach to this year is definitely beneficial to next year. And it'll be a different style of training, and so like I haven't lifted since I moved. I haven't lifted any weights or anything. So that's already a difference.
Uh-huh. You threw out the hurricane metaphor. We were talking about hurricanes just a little bit ago because your family's in Houston, and you say they seem pretty unfazed. This is if you live in that part of the country, you just whatever, this year's hurricane. Well, we are certainly wishing them and everyone else in that part of the country well, hoping to withhold the storm. Let me ask you. Here's a question that. Well, okay, I have to go. A question came in that. Is my favorite kind of question, and is there any impact that the Duck Alumni Network has had on you since graduating? Is it different being an Oregon alum? Do you sort of relate? Do you identify as a Duck alum?
For sure. I think it's actually in my Instagram bio.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's a lot of pride, that I have of being an Oregon Duck. Even just not only being a part of Tracktown USA, but also just the pride of, I feel like it's us against almost the SEC. It's us against all the other schools in this state. And so not only on the athletic side, mainly on the athletic side, but also on the academic side as well. Just between like the product design program, the business school, there's a lot of things that Oregon has going that places them high ranked against other schools. And so I'm grateful and take all pride being a Duck.
Here's a question that came in. How do you handle yourself under pressure?
How do I handle myself under pressure? I lose it.
You really?
Man.
You?
Oh man, under pressure, I try not to get to that point because I'm an overthinker. And so even like in times where I probably should be extremely stressed out, I just try not to be. So literally, the final, when I had Doha and I had the 800 final, the day before I went to the spa, I was like, I need to relax, because if I overthink it, then of course that not only leads to like playing mind games during the race, but also tensing up in the race. It's just not good energy. And so I just try to not get to the point where I just, overreact and overthink.
Go to the spa, drink chocolate milk. This is so good for me, Raven. I am so looking forward to living my best life with your advice. It's gonna be great. Tell me, do you feel? Oh, here's a question that came in. Do you feel like the University of Oregon is doing a good job with regards to diversity and equity issues for students and athletes of color?
I feel like they have. I feel like they have, especially, I mean, I feel like it could probably be a little stronger. But I feel like having, Rob Mullins and the athletic department speak up and be the first to the first among many other universities really to say something in regards to the times that we're experiencing, that definitely goes in that pride of being like a Black student athlete at University of Oregon. But something that, I really appreciated as well when moving to Oregon was the diversity and the inclusiveness of like the LGBTQ community and the Be True movement. I really appreciated that. And so I'd be interested in seeing how they kind of tie all of their similar values in supporting our community during this time too.
Speaking of what it was like to come to Eugene, so an announcement went out earlier today that fall classes, the university was hoping to have most classes in person, and an announcement went out earlier today that that's not going to be possible, that for the fall, almost all instruction is going to be virtual, with a few exceptions for things like studio classes. So an art major like yourself might have had classes in person. Do you have any advice when you think about if you were talking to an incoming student or an incoming athlete, any advice thinking about kind of joining the university under these circumstances?
Oh, I mean, I would say I can only speak for myself when it comes to online classes. I mean, all I can say is, it's worth it. The networking, just this type of relationship where we're able to digitally connect is, an after effect of being a Duck. It's that pride that we all kind of share. So it's definitely worth it. There's a lot of benefits to being a part of the Duck culture. But I understand, I would just advise any incoming freshman not to take advantage of online classes. Of course, go the pace that you can, but try not to slack off too much, because I've learned the hard way in a lot of situations with online classes.
That's great. Now you said earlier that you're kind of introverted, and I'm curious. We've got, so again, lots of people on the call who are new to their cities. So the question is, do you have any tips for how to kind of put yourself out there when you're moving to a new city? How do you get to know a new city and still be introverted?
That's a great question. So using any opportunity that you can to meet people, like if you absolutely know no one in the city, this is a great platform to meet someone and kind of expand on that relationship. And then if you not only having this platform, but also, I don't know, I guess first being a little more open. I mean, I'm introverted, but I'm also extroverted. Like, I love being around people and talking and socializing. It's only the part where I'm an introvert when I'm away from the track, because I kind of like that goes into me being able to step away from the track a little bit and kind of not overthink anything, is being able to have, a place. Like, I don't even live in Beaverton. My teammates live in Beaverton, and I live like way downtown Portland, just to kind of separate work from home. And so I met someone, actually I met a friend, she didn't go to U of O, but she just started talking to me in Target. And so I feel like just based off of putting yourself out there and at least being more open to, people being genuine and friendly, that goes a long way, as well as, taking advantage of this platform.
Fantastic. So I think the lesson is, if you want to hang out with people like Raevyn, go hike waterfalls and then go hang out at Target. That's your best hope. Because if you just go for a run, you're never going to catch her. Forget it.
That's so sad that really sounds like my life, like, because it probably is true.
All right, I got a last question for you, Raevyn, and it's a softball for you. What's your favorite piece of duck gear?
My favorite piece of duck gear. That I have. That I keep around.
That you have or that you aspire to have?
My uniforms. I wish we could keep the uniforms, but we can't. So I think my backpacks. Just because over time, you're able to keep them, so you're able to see kind of the change and the evolution, and each year things just were different. Other than my uniforms, my backpacks, and if not my backpacks, then I would say, spikes. or my Bowerman trophy. That's right. That's good right there.
That sounds pretty good. Do you carry that around with you most days?
Oh, it is at my grandmother's house.
That's a good place for it.
Yeah, great place.
All right, well, folks, if you're in downtown Portland and you see a fast-moving duck backpack, it might be Raevyn on her way to Beaverton. Who knows? Raevyn, I want to say thank you so much. It's 2:30 in the morning in Stockholm, and I really appreciate that you're spending this time with us. We wish you the best of luck in the meets you have left as you travel around Europe, and wish you success and healthy journey back to. You mentioned you were coming back to Portland, and then your birthday's coming up, so we're wishing you a happy birthday, and hope all's well in Houston. Really appreciate you being here.